How can I stop my neighbor from touching himself all day? If I can't stop it, how can I fight back? Okay, so I live next door to an older couple, and their mid-20s I think son. I work from home. So I am based in the office in my attic. We've lived here for 6 years, and it has always been fine. Up until recently when I think they've had a house move around, and now it seems the son has his bedroom in their attic which is directly next to where I am sat. We have extremely thin walls. And I think the son works from home too. The problem is, he doesn't seem to actually do any work. He just spends the majority of the working day shaking hands with the milkman, spanking the monkey, battling the purple-headed yogurt slinger, tugging the slug. I can hear every ducking moan and stroke. And I even know his lewd content preferences because I can hear every sound and word older women with a sprinkling of hentai. It has gotten to the point where I can't bring my kids upstairs during the day because they keep asking me what that strange noise is, and I am running out of lies to tell. So good neighbor, on the extremely small chance you're reading this, stop spending your entire day stroking the vein and do some ducking work. Obligatory edit. Holy crap, this has blown up. I had a post make the front page the other day, but this has completely destroyed that one. Huge thanks for all the upvotes and awards. You're all legends. Okay, so I've been presented with a wide range of solutions. I think the most popular was to out-touching him to show dominance. But then there have been a few other fantastic suggestions, such as play a wide range of crap music through the walls when he is mid-stroke. Record what I can hear, and let his mum listen to it. Cheer him on and give him a round of applause when he squirts, surely that is encouragement. And many more. I have a lot to think about. And when I land on the perfect solution, I'll update the post. Thanks for the suggestions you lot. Special edit. 10,000 people have upvoted this post. Not to mention the countless awards I've received. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. The saga continues. Unfortunately, his parents definitely moved him up there because they were sick of having a room next to his. Serious question. As a parent, is it a right move? Maybe talking to their son would be better, and asking him to stop being such a loud horn dog. Because I feel like I wouldn't react like that with my own son, and I don't know if it's right. Personally, I'd definitely be having a conversation about it. But I'm also a ex-educator advisor in my day-to-day, and can definitely say his behavior isn't healthy, so it would be from a place of concern for his mental well-being rather than a place of judgment. A conversation has the potential to go incredibly wrong if the other party feels judged, because X stuff is embarrassing for a lot of people. Especially with their parents. Moving his room is just wanting a peaceful life until he moves out, I'd guess. Plot twist, he's a chaturbate model, or whatever, and that is his job. Holy crap, I genuinely never even thought of that. What a shout. Change your Wi-Fi name to number of his door, we can hear you touching yourself. This is genius. I'm going to do this even though I can't hear my neighbor touch himself. Careful. You might accidentally end someone's marriage. Imagining a married couple next door, and the wife sees the new Wi-Fi, and has a fuming argument with her touching-free husband who is unbelievably confused. Update. So since I made the original post, I haven't actually heard the guy getting up to his furious chode rubbing antics. Either he was temporarily sent to some kind of masturbation institution, or he was just giving his wong a much-needed rest. That was until this morning. I was sat upstairs working away, when I started hearing those guttural moans, and those high-pitched Japanese ladies I'd become so accustomed to hearing. I thought to myself, now was the time. Out of all the solutions you came up with, I felt that going round and actually having a word with the lad, and or his parents, might be the best course of action to take. I wander over on my lunch break. Knocked on. And the mum answered. I was going to ask for their son, but I don't even know his name, so that'd have been awkward. So I start telling his mum about the noises. How frequently they happen and the fact that my kids have heard it and repeatedly asked me WTF that noise was. I asked could he please keep the noise down. Or even wait until after the watershed so at least my kids could be in bed. I was typically British polite despite the fact that I was talking about a prolific chode stroker. But all of a sudden she looked at me with almost teary eyes and slowly closed the door on me without saying a word. Now this was weird behavior because we actually get on really well with them usually, so I didn't know what to think. Then, roughly 20 minutes later, I get a Facebook message. It was the mum. She was apologizing profusely for what their son was doing. And that they were all fully aware that he has a problem with it. He was originally in a part of the house where no one could hear him. And they totally forgot to take into account that he is a regular fondler of the purple-headed yogurt slinger when they moved the house around. She said she couldn't tell me face to face because it's kinda a source of major embarrassment for them. But she didn't want to brush it under the carpet either. Hence the message. She said she would have a word with him to put a stop to it once and for all. But I was like, wow, I just want him to have a bit more consideration. Not subject him to a lifetime of hand celibacy. She said she appreciated my understanding and said she'd be having words anyway. Time will tell if it makes a difference or not. So there we have it, folks. He is a serial pole destroyer and a pretty big source of shame for his family. I had an issue similar but with a flatmate. I started recording time from when I heard it started and yell out the elapsed time when it ended. Worked real quick. No awkward embarrassing conversation. All I had to do was hit him right in the post not coming clarity. Had a roommate who did phone X with her much older boyfriend at any time she thought she was alone. Or when she thought the girl who shared a room with her was asleep. She wasn't. Final update. So last night, the pole stroking saga took a turn for the unexpected. We just popped the kids to bed and was settling down to watch some crap TV when we get a knock on the door. Naturally, I was like, who the duck is this? Because it was after 8 p.m. and any knocks on the door after that time equal bad news. I was also wearing an ill-fitting Sonic the Hedgehog vest and bright pink boxers, but I thought, duck it. If you come round after 8 then that's what you get. I bust open the door to find none other than my dong-destroying nemesis outside. I have only seen him a few times before despite living there for over 6 years, and that was always fleeting glances. Here he was in all his glory. Pretty weedy. Dressed in some kind of anime t-shirt. Some grubby-looking track keys and orange Crocs. And take it from me, he was ducking angry. I don't mean angry in a kind of intimidating way. I mean angry as in he'd just lost a game of StarCraft, and he was angrily shouting down the headset that he had ducked the other player's dad or something. Nerd angry. He'd clearly been rowing at home about something, then decided to come next door to confront me. Well, he starts raging about how I should mind my own business, and he can do what he wants in his own house. I was like, bro, that is absolutely fair enough. I totally agree with you. What you don't seem to understand though is that my kids can hear you as clear as ducking day. I am running out of lies to tell them when they hear the all too familiar sounds of guttural moans. High-pitched Japanese girls and cougars coming from next door. Please just have a little consideration for us. On that note, he took a small step forward. Shouted, I don't care about your ducking feelings, kids. Then stomped back next door. Despite his rage, I couldn't help but think something felt off with him. And he made me feel really uncomfortable. Usually when people make me feel like that, my gut instinct is 99% spot on, they're ducking dodgy in some way. So I decided to do some investigating. I started with his mom's Facebook page. The privacy settings weren't locked down. But there hadn't been much activity for the past few years from what I could see. Her friends list was open though. And she only had 74 people on there, so I decided to look through to see if I could see anyone that looked like her pole pummeler of a son. No luck. I decided to keep scrolling back through her profile, then about 3 years ago it suddenly filled up with lots of activity. Checking in at places. Random statuses. And photos. One photo in particular stopped my scrolling dead. It was titled Paul and Gavin, not his real name. And it was a photo of the husband and the deviant. He has quite an unusual name. So I thought I'd try searching him to see if I could get any hits. I searched his name but nothing came up. I searched his name and our county but nothing came up either. I was close to giving up, but I decided to search his name and an adjacent county. And that's when I found it. I found a couple of articles about him. He had been charged with voyeurism offenses. I felt ducking sick. Apparently while at uni he had been spying through girls' windows with his hands down his pants. He had also secretly filmed women getting undressed. And had videos of upskirting too. He was sentenced to prison time. It explained ducking everything. The pure shame the mum felt about her son. The fact that he was a complete recluse. It actually scared the crap out of me. And I have spent most of the morning today checking for any holes in the walls, or any kind of cameras, etc. I didn't find any. But I genuinely now feel uncomfortable in my own home. So there we have it. I live next door to an ex-offender. I have a feeling this is going to drag on because it certainly doesn't seem like he is going to keep the noise down. But I won't be posting about it on Reddit anymore. It started off pretty funny and relatively harmless. But it has gone way deeper than I am comfortable with. So since I made the original post, I haven't actually heard the guy getting up to his furious chode rubbing antics. Either he was temporarily sent to some kind of masturbation institution, or he was just giving his wong a much-needed rest. That was until this morning. I was sat upstairs working away, when I started hearing those guttural moans and those high-pitched Japanese ladies I'd become so accustomed to hearing. I thought to myself, now was the time. Out of all the solutions you came up with, I felt that going round and actually having a word with the lad and or his parents might be the best course of action to take. I wander over on my lunch break. Knocked on. And the mum answered. I was going to ask for their son, but I don't even know his name, so that'd have been awkward. So I start telling his mum about the noises. How frequently they happen and the fact that my kids have heard it and repeatedly asked me what the duck that noise was. I asked could he please keep the noise down. Or even wait until after the watershed so at least my kids would be in bed. I was typically British polite despite the fact that I was talking about a prolific chode stroker. But all of a sudden she looked at me with almost teary eyes and slowly closed the door on me without saying a word. Now this was weird behavior because we actually get on really well with them usually, so I didn't know what to think. Then, roughly 20 minutes later, I get a Facebook message. It was the mum. She was apologizing profusely for what their son was doing. And that they were all fully aware that he has a problem with it. He was originally in a part of the house where no one could hear him. And they totally forgot to take into account that he is a regular fondler of the purple-headed yogurt slinger when they moved the house around. She said she couldn't tell me face to face because it's kinda a source of major embarrassment for them. But she didn't want to brush it under the carpet either. Hence the message. She said she would have a word with him to put a stop to it once and for all. But I was like, whoa, I just want him to have a bit more consideration. Not subject him to a lifetime of hand celibacy. She said she appreciated my understanding and said she'd be having words anyway. Time will tell if it makes a difference or not. So there we have it, folks. He is a serial pole destroyer and a pretty big source of shame for his family. Edit. For all those saying get him some headphones. That only solves half the problem. I can still hear the various noises associated with caressing his red rocket. Why the duck should I pay for them? My 26 male girlfriend 23 female keeps her stalker on Instagram. A while back my girlfriend told me about a co-worker that hit on her on multiple occasions. One time they were supposed to go together to a work trip, and he made jokes days in advance about how they were going to share the same hotel room. She was highly uncomfortable with this jokes. Then, the day before the trip, she thanked him for helping her out with some work-related things, and he then told her, "Don't worry. You can thank me later at the hotel." The trip was supposed to be at a remote location with little cell phone coverage. So she was afraid of what could happen and called sick the next morning to avoid going to the trip with him. He later shrugged it off by texting her that it was all a joke and to get better of her health issue. Fortunately, since then she moved to a new job, which is nice because she doesn't need to be in contact with him anymore. Fast forward to last night, when she was checking her Instagram next to me, and she saw who had seen her latest story. To my surprise, I see the name of this guy at the top of the list. She told me once that he was constantly messaging her asking to go out to grab food, sending her emojis, etc. But I assumed it was all in WhatsApp that she uses for work. I assumed she didn't have him on Instagram. I don't understand why she still has him on Instagram. Why she hasn't blocked him yet. They don't even work together anymore. Furthermore, it's concerning that he is at the top of the viewers list. That means they interact or had interact a lot in the past. How can I bring this up to her? I don't want to seem controlling, but I don't understand why she hasn't removed him from her personal social media yet. Too long didn't read. My girlfriend keeps a dude that made highly inappropriate advances towards her on her Instagram. This doesn't sound like a stalker. From what you described, just someone who's pursuing her all in. That could lead to stalking, I guess. But doesn't seem to be now. Anyway, I can see a few reasons she'd keep him on Instagram. She's scared what will happen if she blocks him. She doesn't really think about it that much, but maybe on reflection she'd be like, yeah, I should just block him, right? She actually is interested in his advances on some level. I'd ask her about it. The hotel bit is completely ducked up. He telling her to pay off his favor by sharing a hotel room in a remote location with almost no external contact is pretty creepy. Thanks. I'll be honest and express my concerns. I was hesitant due to showing insecure behavior is unattractive on a partner, but we've been together for almost 6 months now. Better to be honest, I guess. Update second story. So, I followed your advice and asked her about that guy. She told me he added her on Instagram when she originally joined her previous office, but that he wasn't very active on the platform back then. I asked if they interacted a lot over IG, and she told me they didn't. Turns out the reason she didn't remove him after all the creepy behavior is that she didn't want to receive shit from him for removing him on Instagram when seeing each other again at the office. Now that 2 months has passed since she moved to a new job, she realized that it's a good time to block him. She did. So, I was afraid of coming off as controlling and insecure for paying attention to all of this. But I was calmed and didn't ask her to do anything. Just to explain to me if there was any particular reason, since I was confused given how creeped out she was for his behavior and everything. It was a really calm and insightful chat. The lesson for me is to not be afraid to communicate and not jump into conclusions. Better to first listen to my partner. Too long didn't read. Talked to my girlfriend. Turns out she just got used to him being on her profile. She now removed him. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.